Hey there, friends. Buckle up for a heartwarming, jaw-dropping tale that'll make you laugh, cry, and believe in miracles again. This isn't just a story. It's a vibrant, living testament to hope, love, and the power of a single voice. Picture this: a little girl in a coma, a desperate father, a billionaire's empty promises, and a mysterious barefoot boy who changes everything with 5 simple words. Ready? Let's dive into the magic. The clock on the sterile white wall blinked 12:32 p.m. The room hummed with the soft whir of machines, the air thick with the scent of antiseptic and plastic. Monitors beeped in a steady rhythm. Not urgent, but a dull, routine pulse. On the hospital bed lay 9-year-old Amara, her frail frame tucked beneath a pink blanket adorned with cartoon stars. Her eyes were shut tight, her face pale, her dark curls tangled against the pillow. Tubes wound around her like vines, clinging to life itself. For 7 long days, Amara hadn't spoken, moved, or opened her eyes. One moment, she was giggling at the breakfast table with her father, Elijah Martin. The next, she collapsed while tying her shoes for school. Doctors called it an acute cerebral shutdown, a rare condition that left even the top pediatric neurologists scratching their heads. She might wake up, one said. She might not, another added, almost in the same breath. The words hung heavy, like storm clouds over a sunny day. Elijah, a construction worker with calloused hands and a heart full of love, sat by her side. His large hands dwarfed Amara's small, limp one. He'd built bridges, lifted steel beams, and poured foundations deep into the earth. But nothing felt heavier than watching his little girl slip away. Nurses called it devotion. Doctors called it desperation. Elijah, he just called it being a dad. This was his baby girl, and he wasn't leaving her side for anything. But time chipped away at hope. 1 week in, whispers of hospital policies, insurance issues, and next steps crept into the conversation. And that's when he walked in, Devin Langston, a billionaire tech mogul who owned half the hospitals in the region. Smug, flashy, and dripping with wealth, Langston saw Amara's story in a local newspaper while sipping imported espresso. To him, it was an opportunity. Langston swept into the hospital that Thursday afternoon, flanked by his PR team and private security. He offered Elijah a miracle package: top international neurologists, AI-powered diagnostics, and experimental procedures, all at 0 cost. Exhausted and desperate, Elijah asked one question: "Will it bring her back?" Langston chuckled, his eyes glinting behind designer sunglasses. "Trust me, we'll give her the best tech money can buy. We'll upgrade her brain like an iPhone." The laugh echoed like a gunshot. Elijah's jaw tightened, his muscles twitching. He stood slowly, placing Amara's hand gently back on the blanket. "She's not a machine," he said, voice low and steady. "She's a little girl." Langston waved dismissively. "Emotion makes you weak. Science wins." But science didn't win. Langston brought in machines with blinking lights, virtual simulations, even a VR headset placed gently over Amara's eyes. Nothing worked. She remained silent, unmoving. One by one, the specialists flew out, leaving behind invoices and silent monitors. By Sunday evening, Langston stopped showing up altogether. Elijah, though, he stayed. He read Amara's favorite bedtime stories, played her lullabies from his phone, rubbed lotion on her feet. He even told her about the moon phases she loved so much, how Venus had sparkled in the sky last night. His voice was her anchor, his love her lifeline. Just past midnight, a nurse tapped on the window. "Mr. Martin," she whispered. "There's a boy here, says he wants to help." "A boy?" Elijah stepped out cautiously. "What boy?" She pointed to the lobby. There, sitting alone on a cold bench, was a barefoot black child, no older than 11. He wore an oversized gray hoodie, frayed at the sleeves, and torn jeans. His face was smudged with dirt, but his eyes, deep, clear, and still caught Elijah's breath. The boy stood as Elijah approached, nodding respectfully. "Are you Amara's father?" "Yes," Elijah said, hesitating. "Who are you?" The boy didn't answer that. Instead, he said, "I know how to help her." Elijah blinked. "What did you say?" "I know how to wake her up." The words weren't loud or arrogant. They were certain, like the sun rising after a long night. Elijah, sleep-deprived and emotionally worn, sighed. "You're just a kid, man." The boy nodded, unfazed. Sometimes it takes someone small to remind people of big things. She's not lost. She's listening from far away, but she doesn't know if it's safe to come back. Elijah's mouth went dry. The boy stepped forward. "She needs something the hospital doesn't have. She needs your pain, your truth, the words you've hidden behind strength." Elijah was stunned. "Who are you?" The boy didn't answer. "Can I sit with her?" Every instinct screamed no. But something deeper, something old and aching nodded. "All right," Elijah whispered. The boy entered Amara's room and stood beside her, placing one hand lightly on her head. His lips moved silently for a moment. Then he turned to Elijah. "She knows you're here, but she needs to know why you're still here." Elijah stared at his daughter, his heart clenching. His lips parted, and the words he'd buried since her collapse spilled out. "I wasn't there, baby," he whispered. "I was at work. I missed your breakfast, your smile, your warning signs." His voice cracked. "I should have seen something was wrong. I should have been home earlier. I should have held you longer that morning. I should have told you how proud I was." Tears streamed down his cheeks, falling onto her blanket. He gripped her hand, shaking. "Please come back. I'll never miss another second. I promise." "Okay." Silence. Then the heart monitor blipped faster just once. The nurse gasped. Elijah blinked. "Did you see that?" "I did," the boy said calmly. "She's listening." Then, just like that, he turned to leave. "Wait," Elijah called. "What's your name?" The boy paused, hand on the door. "They call me Isaiah." He smiled softly. "I'll be back tomorrow." And he walked into the hallway, barefoot and silent, as if he belonged to another world. The sun barely broke the horizon, but Elijah hadn't moved. His back ached. His eyes were red, but he refused to rest. Sometime during the night, Amara's left index finger had twitched again, without a monitor's prompt. It was a whisper from the other side, faint but real. No one else saw it. No one needed to. Elijah had. As daylight poured through the blinds, a new nurse rolled her eyes when Elijah spoke of the boy. "No visitor was signed in last night," she said, tapping her tablet. "No child on the security footage either. Are you sure you weren't dreaming?" Elijah said nothing, just stared at Amara's pink blanket rising and falling. He knew Isaiah was real. The moment that boy touched Amara's head, something shifted, not just physically, but spiritually, like a window opened in the universe. Still, he wondered, where did Isaiah come from? He'd spoken like someone who knew Amara her whole life, like someone who knew Elijah, not the grease-stained, knuckle-raw version, but the man who once believed love was louder than fear. Elijah hadn't been that man in years. After losing his wife in an accident, he'd buried his stories, his songs, his dreams. Amara noticed but never complained. She just grew quieter. And now she was silent until Isaiah came. That afternoon, Elijah prayed, raw, cracked, honest. "God, if you're there, don't let this be it." The door creaked. Elijah turned. Isaiah stood in the doorway, same frayed hoodie, same bare feet, same calm eyes. "I said I'd come back," he said. Elijah nearly ran to him. "Where do you go? Who are you?" "I go where I'm needed," Isaiah answered. "And I'm someone who remembers what others forget." He walked to the bed, placed a hand on Amara's wrist, and closed his eyes. "She's closer today." Elijah's heart leaped. "Closer? She's been listening," Isaiah said. "Your voice reached her yesterday, but now she needs something else." "Tell me," Elijah whispered. "She needs the song." Elijah's face twisted. "Song? The one you used to sing to her, before the fire, before the quiet." Elijah stumbled back. There was only one song. A lullaby, unrecorded, unshared, just his voice in the dark. His grandmother sang it when he was scared. Asterisk, there's light in the shadows and stars in the rain. Hold on, little dreamer, you'll fly once again. Asterisk, he hadn't sung it since his wife's funeral. His throat tightened. I can't. Yes, you can, Isaiah said softly, because she still remembers it. And so do you. The hospital room faded, replaced by a memory. A tiny living room, soft yellow curtains, a little girl on his lap, her head on his chest. Elijah blinked hard, the memory shattering, but his heart remembered. He sat beside Amara, cleared his throat, and sang. His voice cracked, trembled, but he pushed through. Asterisk, there's light in the shadows and stars in the rain. Hold on, little dreamer, you'll fly once again. Asterisk. A long beep sounded from the monitor. Elijah panicked, but then saw it. Her heart rate was rising, steadily. Her fingers twitched once, twice. The nurse gasped. She's reacting to the music. Isaiah looked at Elijah. You gave her something to come back to. Now she knows the way. Elijah wiped his eyes. Why are you helping us? You don't know us. Isaiah stepped back. You're wrong. I do know her. Elijah stiffened. Isaiah took a breath. Not her name, but her heart. Because I was a child once who cried in a bed like this, alone, afraid. No one came for me. No songs, no hands holding mine. I waited, but no one told me to come home. I promised if I ever got the chance to change that, I would. Silence choked the air. Elijah fell to his knees. You're like an angel. Isaiah didn't answer. He whispered to Amara, You've been found. Then he stepped toward the door. Will you come again tomorrow? Elijah called. Isaiah turned slightly. If she needs me, yes. But I think your voice is stronger now. Elijah ran to the hallway, but Isaiah was gone. No trace, no cameras, nothing, but none of that mattered. Amara's eyes fluttered beneath her lids. She wasn't awake, but she wasn't gone. For the first time in a week, Elijah smiled. The ICU was quiet, but something holy lingered in room 317. Not the sterile cold of medicine, but something warm, soft. Elijah's voice was worn from singing the lullaby again and again, not because he had to, but because every note brought Amara closer. Her brain waves stabilized, her heart grew strong. At 6:02 a.m., her right hand reached for his. No reflex, no stimulus, just Amara. Elijah sobbed into her blanket. It was impossible, unscientific, but he didn't care about science. He cared about faith, and a boy with no shoes who taught him to believe again. Dr. Lester stood by the window, flipping through notes. We don't understand this, she murmured, amazed. Neurologically, nothing explains this spontaneous recovery. The nurse looked baffled. So what do we chart it as? Dr. Lester hesitated. Call it an anomaly. Elijah smiled, holding Amara's hand. You call it what you want. I know what I saw. That afternoon, Elijah stepped outside for the first time in days. The sun felt like promise, not fire. He bought a small spiral notebook. Not for food, but for songs, stories, truth. Isaiah was right. Amara needed her father's voice, the one that said she was loved, safe, never alone. Back at the hospital, Elijah found a note taped to Amara's window, written in crooked blue pen. Asterisk, sometimes the healing comes before the waking. Don't give up on her just because her eyes are closed. She hears you. Keep singing. Asterisk. Elijah pressed it to his heart. Isaiah had come again, not in flesh, but in presence. Amara's breathing deepened. Her color returned. Late that night, she spoke, a whisper, but unmistakable. Daddy. Elijah dropped the notebook, his legs weak. He cupped her face. Amara, can you hear me, baby? She blinked slowly. You came back. I never left, he whispered, a tear rolling down her cheek. Where's the boy? She asked. Elijah froze. You saw him? She nodded. He said he was the echo that found me when I was floating and couldn't see. He sang until I heard your voice again. He held my hand. He said, Your daddy's waiting on the other side of the dark. I followed the light. Elijah felt her words settle into his soul. He led you back, he whispered. Amara smiled faintly. He smelled like dust and bread. He laughed like sunlight. He said his name was Isaiah. Sweetheart, Elijah choked. Isaiah is... He didn't know how to finish. An angel? A miracle? Maybe both. Amara's smile said she knew. The next morning, the hospital buzzed with whispers. Amara's chart made no sense. No medications, no trials, just a girl who shouldn't have woken up but did, because of a voice and a boy no one could find. An intern scrolled through security footage, rewinding, zooming, but Isaiah wasn't there. The hallway he walked was empty every time. Goosebumps rose on the intern's arms. That boy, he whispered, was never on camera. Elijah and Amara held hands, watching cartoons. She had color in her cheeks, a smile on her lips. Tell me the story again, she said. What story? Elijah asked. The girl who whispered to the moon. He hadn't told it since her mother's death, but Amara smiled, and he knew Isaiah had shared it. She hadn't forgotten. Neither had he. That night, Elijah stayed awake, notebook in hand, writing stories, songs, prayers. He'd never let silence be his language again. Just before midnight, he stepped into the hallway for air. The wing was empty, lights dimmed. Then, a voice soft, familiar. You did good, Mr. Elijah. He turned. Isaiah stood there, barefoot, same coat, same dirt-streaked cheeks, but smiling wide. She doesn't need me anymore. She asked for you. I know, Elijah said, eyes welling. Will I ever see you again? Isaiah tilted his head. Maybe, or maybe someone else will. What do I owe you? Elijah whispered. Isaiah's smile softened. Tell her stories every night, even when she's grown. Never stop singing. He turned, walked down the hallway, and vanished. No door, no sound, just gone. Elijah didn't chase him. He stood still, full of light. 3 months later, Amara was home, her light brighter than ever. Elijah told her story to anyone who'd listen, not for fame, but because it mattered. Doctors called it spontaneous neural reintegration, blaming an idiopathic cerebral shutdown. Big words that danced around the truth. No study, no EEG, no journal could explain what Elijah witnessed, what Amara felt. Amara described Isaiah's laugh, his touch, how he smelled like bread and hope. You're not lost, he told her. You're just not finished yet. She started therapy, her steps shaky, her hands trembling, but her will unshakable. When her legs gave out, she whispered, Isaiah. When she wanted to give up, she hummed a lullaby Elijah hadn't taught her, but Isaiah had. Every night, Elijah played that melody on the piano until she danced again. Elijah sold his Range Rover, his lake house, his investments. He wasn't buying anything, he was building. With the money, he launched Voices at Dawn, a free art and music center for kids facing trauma, illness, or grief. The slogan, where silence ends and healing begins. Amara painted the first mural, a child in a too-big coat, hand extended from the darkness, offering a song. Beneath it, in blue brushstrokes, asterisk, he didn't have wings. He had faith. Asterisk, reporters asked about the boy. His name is Isaiah, Elijah said. I don't know where he is, but I know where he was when it mattered. Some laughed, called it folklore. Others wiped their eyes, believing. Sometimes belief changes more than facts. One evening, Amara and Elijah walked through their old neighborhood. She wore purple rain boots. Just in case, she said. Isaiah told me the best surprises happen when you're ready. Near a closed train station, an old man played harmonica. A sign at his feet. Asterisk, you're not lost. You're just not finished yet. Asterisk. Amara gasped. Daddy, look. Elijah walked over. Where'd you get that phrase? The man shrugged. Heard it from a boy years ago. Said he traveled light, carrying truth. Played music with me till he vanished. Was his name Isaiah? Amara grinned. He's still out there, Daddy. Elijah felt hope bloom. Yeah, I think he is. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She stood by her window, staring at the moon. Elijah sat beside her. You okay, baby? I'm thinking, she said. What if Isaiah finds another little girl who's lost? What if she's scared like I was? Then I hope someone's singing nearby, he said. She nodded. We should teach the world to sing, on the internet, on YouTube, on rooftops, in the middle of the night when people feel alone. Elijah hugged her. Then we'll do it. They recorded Amara's story, her drawings, her laughter. Elijah shared songs from his notebook, raw and honest. They called the channel Isaiah's Echo. In 2 weeks, it reached 2 million views. In 4 months, over 10,000 messages poured in. From ICU beds, broken homes, lonely dorm rooms. Each ended. I thought I was lost, but now I think maybe I'm just not finished yet. On the 1-year anniversary of her waking, Amara stood on a stage at Voices at Dawn, microphone in hand. Her knees trembled, but her voice soared, singing Isaiah's lullaby. Elijah noticed a boy in the back, barefoot, dusty coat, soft smile. Their eyes met, then he was gone. No sound, just faith. Miracles aren't always thunder and lightning. Sometimes they're dirt under your nails, stories at bedtime, a father's voice rediscovered. They're a little girl's hand reaching through the dark, or a boy no one believes in, laughing at the impossible until it's possible. Isaiah didn't wake Amara. He reminded the world what love can do. So friends, keep singing. Tell your stories. Hold hands through the dark. Because somewhere, someone's listening, waiting for the echo to guide them home. And who knows, maybe Isaiah's out there, barefoot and smiling, ready to remind us all. Asterisk, you're not lost. You're just not finished yet. Asterisk,